Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, today I'm playing with the Papercraft Society box. This is box 24, inspired by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts, and her brand is Made to Surprise. Now inside here we got stencils to make a little house, and this is the little house that I made. This was my first one and I used mostly the dies and stamps that came in the kit. For the roof I actually punched out 1-inch circles and use that as the little tiles on my roof. But on the one we're going to make today, I'm going to use the scalloped edge die, and you can see that there as the ridge along the top of my roof, just there. And I've used the sparkly or glitter craft paper that we got in the kit to do the top along there. These are the dies and stamps and stencils we got, and this is how I keep them. When I get them, I put them onto magnetic sheets or into wallets, etc. So I've taken some of the dies and I've die cut out my windows and door and Christmas tree, etc. I've also used the stamps. I use the light Christmas tree lights stamp, and then these are the stencils, and we'll have a look at those in a moment because I have marked mine and everything. So I'll go through all that with you. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the dies. What I've die cut out here is the door. I have die cut out the door in brown, then the door and the jam, and then behind, because these are two dies. So the frame will die cut out the frame, or a solid piece, and then if you put the frame and the door together, it'll die cut out the door jam as well as the door, and it scores it along one side so it'll open like this. Now I took that frame piece and I die cut out this little image and I stuck that behind, so when you open the door it has this lovely sentiment of holly jolly Christmas. With the windows, again, you get your window frame which will cut out this shape, and then you also get your windows and it will cut out this shape. So when you put the two together, you get the window opening and the framework, and I put those two together to give me this piece. And I use some mirror cardstock for behind so it looks, you know, kind of like a window does. And it's the same then with the square window. You get two dies, the frame and the windows, that cuts out the windows. And like I said, the frame I die cut out in silver, and then I put the frame and the window piece together and it gives you the white piece, and then I'll put the two together then to give our windows. So that's our windows and doors. Now there's a round little window there as well, but I don't use it for this. You also get the die for these Christmas tree lights, and you get the stamp for the Christmas tree lights. So I have stamped out my Christmas tree lights and die cut them out. Now I tried just stamping a load of them and then using the die, but I found it didn't die cut out properly. So then what I did was I took the die and I took a piece of card and I die cut out my little Christmas tree lights. Then what I did was I took my Misty, and if you have a stamp positioner, this is a great little handy trick for stamping intricate things that you want to die cut out. So what I did was I put my piece of card that I die cut the Christmas tree lights on, I put that into the Misty. Now I've taken out the little piece that I want to stamp. I've put my die cut piece there. Then I take my stamp, my silicone stamp, and I sit that over the die cut piece, because the silicone stamp, it's like a jigsaw piece. It'll fit in there perfectly. Now once we close the door of our Misty, press down and we pick up the stamp, we know that that's going to stamp exactly where our opening is. So if you put your die cut piece out into the opening. You can see it there, it's in situ. I use my ink, stamp down with the stamp, and there you'll see then I get a lovely stamped image on my die cut piece. The only problem is it still isn't matching up, and that's because of how it was made. But it looks fine. I mean, I've them colored in here and I think they're fine. Anyone that's looking that closely, well, you know what, this is handmade, it's not Hallmark, so you know. Now I've taken the little gingerbread people, I've die cut them out in a brown cardstock. The little man here has his buttons and his bow tie, and the little girl has her heart. And what I've done is I've colored them in, and then I've put glossy accents over them to give them a shine. And then you'll see the little buttons on the gingerbread man. I use little stars for that. My little snowman, I used a little punch I have in my stash. It's a 5/8 punch, and it gave me a circle. I cut the bottom off it. This is the circle I got. Then I took the gingerbread man and I cut him out in the white. I chopped off his arms and his legs, put my little punched piece on top, and that gave me my snowman. And I just embellished it using some slim ribbon and some of my markers to colour in buttons, etc. And that gave me my little snowman. The trees, there's a die for that, and I've die cut them out in lots of different coloured cardstock. And then you see here there's a die that gives us 3 stars. You get a large, a middle and a small, and the small teeny tiny ones, as I said, I used for my gingerbread man, and the bigger and middle one, I used on my Christmas trees. And then I took a white gel pen and just embellished them, making them look like Christmas tree lights, or actually popcorn, you know, the shredded popcorn. I did that with my kids when they were very young. This die here I'm using to cut out all my pieces for the roof. Altogether I have 7 pieces of this glitter card. They all measure 1 inch wide by 4 inches long, and I have die cut out one side on 6 of them. But for the ridge piece, I've die cut out both sides, and then I've scored it down the middle so it'll sit across the top like so. And it just tidies up the top there along there on the roof. So now we come to our stencils. We have one piece here and it's our bottom piece, and I have a 1 on that because we will cut out one of those. Then this piece here is the front or back of our house. You can see here it sits on there. We have a tab then for the top, for the roof, for the bottom and for the side. This is our gable end piece. And you can see on all of them there are these slots cut into it. The one in the middle of this is if you're going to use it as a folding house in a card, but we won't need that. And then we have our roof piece. Now if you draw them all onto a piece of cardstock like I have done here, then you'll be able to cut out your pieces. Now you can see here I didn't draw in the score lines, those slots that are in there, but I use my scoring tool and my scoreboard to actually put those score marks in. So you can draw with a pencil where your score lines need to be, cut out your shapes, and then put it onto your scoreboard and use your scoring tool to score along the edges of these tabs. And you can see there I have that done with all of these pieces, with my gable ends and my front and back, with the bottom and with our roof. So there's all our pieces ready to go. Now with our bottom and our roof, we don't need to do anything with those, but with our front and back and our gable end pieces, I've used craft card for my base in this gingerbread house, but on the one I'm doing now I've used white cardstock, and I want to embellish that. So I have taken my stencils and I've drawn around them. Now I didn't include the tabs, and that way then I will have the perfect size for my gable end pieces and my front and back pieces. Now I made a note on my stencil piece itself how high up this piece is and how much to the top of the gable end, but you can just draw around them. The same with this, if you draw in where the slots are there, it'll give you your pieces to go over them. So you can see here I have my patterned paper on my 2 gable end pieces. I'm going to put my coordinating patterned paper now on my front and my back piece, and I'll glue them on, and that gives them time then to set up. Okay, so I've slowed everything back down. Now we need to add some glue to our tabs, and you can see the way I have everything laid out there. I have a gable end, I have a front piece, I have a gable end, I have a back piece, then I have the roof up above and the bottom down below. And what we're going to do is glue each of our tabs on. Now I recommend you make sure that the bottom of your gable end lines up with the bottom of your front and back piece. And although I have this sped up a bit, you can still see how I'm lining them up there with those tabs. And then I've used my quick grab glue there. It's the art glitter glue is what I'm using, and it's a great quick grab glue. Now I've slowed it back down because this is the bottom piece, and the tab on one side will stick down onto the bottom of a gable end piece. Then we're going to sit our side tabs on top of that, and then we'll fold in our gable tab and the bottom. Now you can see there's no tabs on my bottom piece when you look at the bottom of it. That's because I'm tucking them all inside. So we have our little tab there on our bottom piece glued onto our gable. Now I'm going to take the tab for the front of my house, put some glue on that and stick that to the bottom. And I'm making sure to give it time to actually adhere. I have it sped up. And then we're going to add some glue to our other bottom piece, and then we'll just have the last gable end. So I'm going to put some liquid glue on this tab as well as the side tab for the gable end, and we'll put those two together at the same time. So it's just a matter then of adding a bit of pressure to those tabs, and you can see there it looks fab. That's it, all the tabs are hidden inside our little house. Now our roof needs to be glued down or stuck down onto the 2 tabs there either side of our gables. You can see them there. This tab I'm going to glue to the roof. The other tab I won't, because I want this little house to be able to open and close. So if you glue one tab down, and then if you use some Velcro dots or some little magnets on the other tab, you'll be able to hold the roof closed. And then you can open it at your leisure. So my thinking was I'll put a little gift inside of this, give it to one of my little nieces, and they can have that then for Christmas. And at the bottom of it, I'm going to write on the bottom of it, to Edith or Matilda or whoever is getting it, from Simone and Mike, and you know that it's Christmas 2021. And I think it'd be a nice little keepsake for them. You know, it can be brought out each year then and used as a house decorative ornament. Okay, so now I'm putting my scalloped edged glitter card roof panels along the top, and I've used some red liner tape on these. Now the first 2 that I put on, I just used liquid glue because the back of the cardstock is going onto cardstock. But whenever you're sticking something onto glitter card, it's always good to use a really strong adhesive to make sure it's going to stick on. So we have one side done now, it's just a matter of doing the others, and I'm lining them up nicely, trying to make sure that I have the same amount of gap between each one. And then we'll just add our roof piece along the top, and I'll fold it over and burnish that, and that's our roof done with our ridge piece along the top. Now when we're attaching our roof to our house, we need to make sure that we have an even amount on either side, on the left or the right. So I'm putting a little liquid glue onto my tab. Now, the best way I found to stick this down and make sure it was even was to put the roof piece on my table. Then you can see the glue is on this tab facing me. So I'm actually putting the points of the gable ends into the score line of our roof piece. And I can see there on the right hand side, as well as on the left hand side, that that's sitting in there nice and evenly. Then I can push up the roof onto where the glued tab is, flip it over, and then apply pressure to that little tab. And that way I know then that I have a 1/4 inch hanging over the left and the right hand side of the roof, because no one likes to have a wonky roof on top of our little house. Lovely. And that's just perfect there. You can see how it sits there nicely. So now all we need to do is put some fastenings or closings onto the other tab. So I got these little magnets. They're like the magnetic sheets that we use for our dies, but these were punched out in circles. And I'm going to take 4 of these, and I'm making sure that 2 are sitting together nicely. Now the little white piece there that you can see, that's a release paper on top, so it will stick onto our cardstock. Now these are a little bit big for my tab, but that's okay. Once I have the ones on the roof stuck on, I'll then be able to cut the excess off. So I have them placed nicely where I want them on my little tab. I'm going to peel off the release paper on the other magnet, pop that off, and then I'm going to close over my lid of my roof, making sure it's nice and even, and then push them down. Now I can see the excess, the sticky bit of the magnet where it was too big for my little tab, and I'll just take my scissors and snip off the excess there. You're just out of shot there, but you have an idea of what I'm doing. You can see there now I've cut off the excess, and they'll still work. There's still enough magnet there. There's 2/3 of that magnet there, and you can see it holds it well. Now it's not a really strong magnetic catch on them, but it's strong enough that holding it upside down will keep it closed. So now I've sped everything up. We're on high speed now, and we're going to put all our little bits and pieces on our actual house. And I had debated not adding this part in. I thought, do they really want to see me adding all the bits and pieces on? But I thought, you know what, that's half the fun. I sat here for about an hour today playing with all these little pieces and designing my little house, and yeah, so I thought I will leave it in. You can always just fast forward through if you wanted to see the finished product. But I think the fun is in the decorating of it. Now I did think about making this a 2-story house, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have it as a 2-story, but we'll only have the top windows at the gable end. Lovely. So I'm loving this, adding all my little windows to it. And once we have that done, then we can add on our little Christmas trees and our lights and everything. And you know, this kit started me with making my Christmas cards. I know there was a lot of card making, Christmas in July and all that kind of thing. I just kind of feel that Christmas should be closer to Christmas. But when this kit came in and I knew it was coming and that Sam had done a Christmas kit, I was just so excited. Now I have a link down below in the description for my 3 cards 1 kit, making 3 cards using this kit. So there's a link below if you haven't seen that. But I thought, seeing as I've made my Christmas cards, I'm going to make the little Christmas house. And when I shared images of my little house on Facebook, I had a couple of comments from people asking, you know, how did I manage with making the house, and you know, they weren't too sure about the tabs and stuff. And that's the reason why I've done this little video. I thought it would be a handy follow-up to the 3 cards 1 kit last week. So I hope you're enjoying this little video. So while I'm decorating the house here, I thought I would let you in onto some news that I have. Hubby and I, our kids have grown up. We have 3 beautiful girls and they're all grown up and doing their own thing. And where we are living at the moment, we're actually renting a house. And the reason for that is because we moved to this area 2 years ago and we weren't quite sure where we were going to live. So we decided we'd rent a house in the town where hubby works because I'm at home full time. I'm here with the 2 dogs. I did think about going back to work and I thought, you know what, I think I'll just enjoy chilling out and having my little hobby with the crafting and the card making. But because we were renting initially, moving up, we both decided where we'd like to live in this area. So making a long story short, we've been house hunting and we found a house. It's about 25 minutes from hubby's work. It's in a lovely town on the west coast of Ireland, close actually to where we live. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I'm going to have a proper craft room. Now, I am very blessed with the craft room I have. I have a room that I have all my crafts in, as well as some other stuff that I was thinking of doing long term. But I'll actually get to have a proper craft room. So I'm so excited about it. The sale has gone through, the mortgage has been agreed. We're waiting just to sign the final contracts and then we'll have a move coming. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in the future I will be moving and I am hoping that I'm going to have a couple of YouTube videos in the bag. So in the couple of weeks that we do move, there won't be too much distraction to the channel. I'll still have cards, you know, videos coming up. But I'm so excited. The family all know, and I just thought I'd share with you, my crafty family out there, the news. Oh, I'm so excited. It's been a while since we last owned a house. With hubby's work, we have moved. We tend to move every 2 or 3 years with his work, so it kind of seemed pointless to buy a house because you'd only be getting settled in and then you'd be moving again. So we've been renting for the last nearly 12 years. So to finally have our own place, it's just exciting. And the house that we have put in to buy, it's a bungalow, which I'm loving the idea of not having to traipse upstairs with a vacuum cleaner and, you know, that. I know that sounds mad, but it's also got a fantastic size polytunnel. I mean, just dream of dreams. I always thought, oh, I hope when, you know, the girls are doing their own thing, I would love to have our own place where I'll have a greenhouse. Well, this house has got an amazing, massive polytunnel with raised beds inside in it. And oh, I'm so looking forward to growing some veg and stuff in there. And there's plenty of room around the house so we can have some raised beds. There's plenty of rooms in the house. So, you know, generally you have kids, they go away in 1s and they come back in 2s and 3s and 4s. So it's big enough that if the girls all come home at the same time, we'll have room for them. Hubby was saying that maybe down the line in a year or so's time, we might look at getting a she shed. And I have had a peek at some of those. They're like sheds or office buildings that you can have outside. and they're fully insulated and you can have electrics and the whole lot. And he was saying if I liked the idea of that, there's enough room. It's a big back garden. It's on nearly an acre of land for me to have a shed and do it up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just, yeah, just so excited. Anyway, we have literally gotten to the end. We are just putting on our last little tree, and I'm loving this. I absolutely love this little gingerbread house. I know it's not strictly, you know, a brown house with all the little sweeties and stuff like that on it, but I just love this little, well, I suppose there's gingerbread people live in my little houses, so they are gingerbread houses. I'm embellishing with a little bit of Spectrum Noir glitter pen on my Christmas trees as well. So there you go, there is our little gingerbread house using the products from the Papercraft Society, box number 24, inspired by Sam Calcott from Mixed Up Crafts and made to surprise. I hope you've enjoyed our little tutorial here today, and I hope I've inspired you to get out the stencils if you have this kit and make these little houses. I think they'd make a fab little village for Christmas time. So I hope you liked my video. If you did, you might consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. And if not, you might click on that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified each time I post a new video. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you're on social media, I would love to see your makes. So that's it now. Here's some images of the gingerbread house that we've made. I hope you have enjoyed my video. Until next time, stay safe, take care, be kind to each other. Bye for now.